coming through for the board chair who is speaking? So this is,
Graciela, I can hear it just well.
Oh, good, because I have this incredible mask on. So, and I so appreciate the district providing all of the trustees with this mask. So, okay, the August 11th, 2021 special and regular meeting of the Yosemite Community College District Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 2:10. Is that right?
209.
2:09. This governing board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 and Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920. Good afternoon, everyone. We thank you again for your patience as we were setting up in the boardroom today, and for your patience as we continue to navigate this virtual platform. We welcome the board members and others who are participating via Zoom. Please be advised that everyone participating via Zoom video or call has been muted with the exception of the board members and the chancellor. We also welcome any members of our district community and the members of the public who are viewing the meeting live via YouTube. Members of the public are welcome to record this meeting using their own personal devices, and the district will also make the recording available on the YCCD YouTube channel for 30 days in accordance with our board policy. As a reminder, board members are asked to use the raised hand feature because we do have some board members participating via Zoom remotely if they wish to speak, and everyone is encouraged to mute their audio when not speaking to minimize disruption. The board is open to receiving public comments. The published agenda requested that public comments be submitted in advance of the meeting by email. Public comments will be read aloud by staff at the appropriate time during the meeting, and persons seeking to make an in real-time public comment may do so at the time of the agenda item and are asked to use the raised hand feature. At this time, I'd like to move to 2.2. To conduct the roll call. I'll ask the stenographer to conduct the roll call for attendance.
Thank you. For the trustees that are attending virtually, I'll ask you to, in addition to confirming that you're present, if you can respond to the 3 questions listed in the agenda, which are, can you hear me well? Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now? And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting? Trustee Nancy Hinton. Trustee Antonio Aguilar.
Present and yes to all 3 questions.
Trustee Leslie Beggs.
Yes, in here.
We're checking some audio issues. Thank you, public, for your patience. So Trustee Leslie Beggs.
Take 2. Yes, I'm present, and yes to all 3.
Thank you. Vice Chair Darren Garrett.
Present and yes to all 3 questions.
Trustee Milton Richards. Trustee Jenny Nicolau.
Present and yes to all 3.
And Chair Margie Bogan.
Present and yes to all 3.
Thank you.
I'd like to move now to 2.3 public comments. I'd like to ask the board stenographer to first read aloud any public comments received via email. And I would like to exercise the prerogative to have copies of those emails delivered, if you should you have any, delivered to each board member in lieu of reading them aloud, and then introduce in real-time public comment requests. Please note that all email correspondence relating to this meeting will become part of the board minutes. Board stenographer.
Chair Bogan, there were none received via email, But we are aware of two public comments that have been requested. So at this point, I will call on Shelley Akiona.
Excellent. Welcome, Shelley. We reserve 5 minutes for public comment, and I'll have Graciela start the timer. Welcome. So happy to have you here.
Good to see you. Is the volume okay? I'm so sorry. My dogs are downstairs. My little rescue dogs. I apologize. If it's okay with you, I'd like to read a letter before I start my comments that was provided to me from Dr. Chad Redwing. He's out of the area today, and he asked if I could read it to you on his behalf. Would that be okay for me to do?
That's fine. We're just going to make the grand total 5 minutes. So we'll split you can split the time however you want. So I don't want to waste any more time. We have to allot 5 minutes for each speaker. So
Okay.
to hear your
Sorry, that was not my understanding. So I'm actually going to start with mine then, if that's okay.
good. Very good.
All righty. And then I will email the letter if we don't have time for that. All righty. So I'm here to speak on two topics. The first that I would like to speak to is regarding the evaluation of our chancellor. As many of you know, I've had the privilege of working directly with each chancellor of the YCCD for the last 20 or so years. I've worked closely with excellent CEOs in our district, and unfortunately, I've also seen others fare not as well. And I've spent some time considering what some common qualities have been that I've seen in our best chancellors. Based on my personal and professional experience, I can say that Chancellor Yong has demonstrated that he is one of the best leaders that we have had in our district in the last several decades. So here are some common qualities that I've been able to identify through my own personal professional experiences. Number one, quality chancellors in our district have demonstrated objectivity, and Chancellor Yong is no exception. The ability to gather and analyze facts while considering best outcomes and then following up with an appropriate course of action. Dr. Yong has showed us through his navigating of COVID through thousands of students and hundreds of employees that he's able to navigate challenging situations. He's also reestablished relationships with K-12s and industry employers, just to name some of his accomplishments that speak to his objectivity on an internal and an external scale. Authenticity. Quality chancellors in our district have demonstrated authenticity, which has demonstrated an ability to breed trust among constituent groups. Henry has taken time for employees, students, and community members that appear in front of him or give him a call or email. He has proven that he can be trusted, and he has done this in several ways that have been demonstrated to faculty. Is in his high standard of leadership. It is evident in not just what he says, but also in what he does. That includes rolling up his sleeves and working alongside his teams to meet appropriate goals that benefit the district. Number three, good chancellors have been members of our community. Each chancellor that has been exceptional in their leadership has been planted and rooted in our community. In fact, we still have a few chancellors and college presidents that are active in the life of our colleges and still live and participate in the communities we serve. And Dr. Yong has definitely planted and rooted among us. The last one that I've seen good chancellors evidence is the ability to equip employees. Dr. Yong has created an excellent environment for staff and administrators and faculty to be successful. What I mean by that is he has set high standards, but in the setting of the high standards, he empowers others to be able to meet those standards while demonstrating his ability and his desire to also put himself to a very, very high standard. This allows the employee family of YCCD to be encouraged and strengthened to reach for higher standards and that they can personally advance and succeed. So I just wanted to make a couple other comments towards things that I see. I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit about just the institution as a whole. First of all, this month is the first month that faculty will be receiving their increase based on the salary model that was negotiated in our last session. And I just would like to share that this model and the ability to anticipate what's coming has reduced a lot of stress on the part of faculty, and I assume even in administration, to be able to plan fiscally. And so I would like to thank the chancellor for working with us on that, the negotiations team for working with us on that. But I'd also encourage maybe a broader consideration of implementing similar type of strategies or reviewing similar type of strategies that bring our entire district to more of a structure of median for administration, for leadership, as well as classified staff. I think it's benefiting from it as a faculty member and realizing how that helps bring well-being at work has been excellent. So I just wanted to share my observations on that. We see it as a win for faculty. I would hope as an HR administrator myself that we would see how we could broaden that positive impact. I think I might have just a little bit more time. I spent a little bit of time looking at the last strategic plan, and I do have it up on my screen, but I'm not going to share it. I was looking at the people that participated in the strategic plan from 2016 to 2021. At that time, none of the current seated board members were on the original planning of the strategic plan in 2016, which was just a short 5 years ago. So that was a point of interest to me as far as change goes. Also, I looked at the contributing team members, faculty, staff, administration. There were 25 people who participated in 2016, and currently only 7 of those remain. And I'll just close with saying that it's a new time post-COVID. So I'm hoping that the board and the chancellor and the administration will be looking at ways to bring well-being into the workplace in healthy ways, not just salary, but in healthy ways to put our people in the center and care for our people so that our people can rightly and better care for our students. I have more thoughts about that, but my time is just about up.
Well, so Shelley, thank you. And I may have misunderstood, and thank you for your public comment. But before we go to Chad's, I may have misunderstood. Chad asked you to represent him to read his statement.
Yes, that's correct.
And I'd like to grant you the time to do that. So
Okay, I'd be happy to read that for you.
public comment time is up, but I want to grant you the time to speak for Chad. So
Thank you very much. I was trying to get a lot out there to you. I'm sorry if I was on a rapid fire.
and we'll start the timer. Thank you.
All righty, here we go. This is from Dr. Chad Redwing. Dear YCCD Board of Trustees, this letter is to enthusiastically support Henry Yong as the Chancellor of YCCD. Over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to work more closely with Dr. Yong while serving a 2-year term as the Academic Senate President for Modesto Junior College. As a faculty leader, it's always a bit nerve-wracking getting started. But understanding this, the Chancellor was the first call I received, and it was to invite me to a series of lunches and to open up a channel of authentic dialogue, exchange, and brainstorming. But it's what happened after the first lunch that really tells you who the Chancellor is at work. After the meal, which featured me staining my shirt, the Chancellor called over the waiter as he asked about my family. And before I knew it, I was walking out of the restaurant door with flan for my entire family. His genuine wish to get to know, to support, and to work constructively with others is always evident. He works tirelessly to live up to the mission of our colleges and the district, and he has proven stable, consistent leadership in both good times and difficult moments. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. It would be a pleasure to share more about my positive experiences working with Chancellor Yong. And if you still need to know more about him, I'd recommend a meal with him, but be prepared. You might have to take some flan home for dessert.
Very good.
Best wishes, Chad Redwing.
Thank you, Shelley. And please convey to Chad Redwing our appreciation for his public comment.
Thank you so much for your time, trustees. We appreciate all you do for the YCCD.
Thank you. Just confirming there's no further public comment, board stenographer?
I don't see any additional raised hands at this
Okay,
time.
thank you. We'll move now to item 3, which is our special meeting agenda. We have one item on our special meeting agenda, and that is the annual board self-evaluation. This is a process that we follow each year, beginning with a timeline for each trustee to fill out a survey of our goals. And then we had a chance to see the results about 10 days before the meeting, so that we would get some time to review what the results look like in terms of identifying our strengths and identifying areas that might be challenges for us. So each board member has a copy of the board self-evaluation in front of them. It's quite long, but we do have it up on the screen. We have a condensed version of question number 1 in terms of board development. And you do have these paper version. So the results spread along lines of excellent, above average, average, in need of improvement. And you can kind of get an idea of where the bar graph falls. But in this first one, this first section that we have up on the screen, let me get my paper out. Well, actually, before we go through these, because I know each board member had a chance to review them, let me just jump because of time. Is there an area that either board member wishes to share that jumps out as an area of excellence? I know you're all thumbing through the results. Is there an area we wish to acknowledge that surfaced as a strength? I'm trying to just take overall, is there some areas, here, I'll help this along because I had one in mind. So question number 4 was supporting the mission of the district. And there were 3 questions here, and it was about gathering information about the educational and service needs of the community, supporting excellence within the district, and working to create a positive institutional environment for all employees, students, and trustees that is legal, fair, clear, and appropriate. Based on the results, because none of us know, by the way, how each other answered, this surfaced to a majority, at least supporting excellence within the district and working to create a positive institutional environment for all employees, students, and trustees that is legal, fair, clear, and appropriate. Those got scores of excellence out of, let's just say, the majority of trustees. And I want to acknowledge that we had 6 total respondents from trustees. So we're looking at not the 100% respondent, but 6 out of the 7. But still, nonetheless, this surfaced as a clear majority. So I'd like to, for the record, acknowledge that makes sense to me, that this is a board that supports excellence and has been working to create a positive institutional environment. Other comments from the report from our trustees?
Madam Chairman, if I can, I'd like to suggest that for next year's report, we look at a different format. I don't feel like the table clearly captures a comparison. I actually found this quite confusing until I was able to break into the individual. And I'm sure with the expertise that we have on campus, there's some brilliant minds that can help us pull together a chart that might tell that story a little more compellingly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. So noted. This does come off as really just a data sheet of percentages and bar graphs representing it. But you're right, a disaggregation, I think you're asking for a disaggregation of the results that would pull out areas of of majority felt excellent, and then areas where the majority felt we needed improvement. Is that kind of, trustee Nicolau, what you're suggesting?
Yes, and I'm absolutely open to other suggestions as well for those who think in a more graphical sense than I do.
Right, right. Very good. Thank you for that suggestion.
Um,
Any other observations? Yes, trustee Beggs.
if you look at page 14 of 82 or 11 of 15 of this, the responses to the question, what are the board's greatest strengths, are interesting, and I think, am I off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, thank you. So, highlighting the fact that, and again, it's anonymous. We don't know who wrote what comment. And these are responses. There are 5 comments. One of them, if you don't mind me reading them, now that you've pointed them out, under what are the board's greatest strengths?
Mhm.
We're not a rubber stamp board. We take our responsibilities seriously and try to carefully research issues before us. We care deeply about the mission of helping our students gain the knowledge and skills necessary to find and keep satisfying and well-paid jobs. As board members, we have different areas of interest and expertise, but overall, we work together well and appreciate each other's gifts. Another trustee said the respect for each other's opinions is a strength. Another trustee said our open discussion, objective statements, thought-provoking questions. Another trustee said all 7 trustees are committed to the mission and vision of the district and are supportive of the chancellor in carrying out his duties. All 7 trustees are well-informed community members, engaged in listening to their constituents, and active in representing their concerns and/or views. All 7 trustees come prepared to the meetings and participate fully in the discussion, deliberation, and decision-making. And all 7 trustees perform their duties with integrity. And a final comment from a trustee was working together and taking ideas. So we do see that that is summarized on page 14. So noted. Yeah. And a healthy group of comments there from 5 of the 6 respondents. So that's very good. So if we move to the next page, which is what are the areas in which the board could improve, there are 2 comments, and maybe we can dissect these just in the short time we have left. Number 1 says, I think that when an issue hits us, which generates a fair amount of emotion, we don't always wait to let the emotions settle and get more facts. There have been very few occasions in which we have allowed ourselves to be rushed into a premature vote. We, capitalize, need to take more control of our board agenda and make sure that we're not buried under an avalanche of items and fail to give our due diligence to decisions meriting more time and attention. And then another trustee commented in an area that can be improved is the board could benefit from continuing education in the coming year around 3 topics: understanding how hold harmless affects future funding. Number 2, evaluating the components of effective executive employment contracts. And number 3, deepening their understanding around the accreditation standards, and in particular, Standard 4 related to governing boards. So on the second comment, I know that we've asked for a special meeting to educate us around those 3 items. So that's an excellent comment from one of our trustees to make sure that we have an opportunity to take the results of this evaluation and put it to a learning opportunity for all of us. And the first comment, of course, reflects our strengths, really, which is we want to be mindful that we're always in control of the facts and not rush to make a decision prematurely, so that we do due diligence in all of our decision making. All good comments, very constructive. Any other additions or observations? Because I think what we can take away from this is that we've set some special meetings around those 3 learning opportunities. Any other comments from trustees? And Graciela will tell me if there's hands raised from our friends out in the cloud.
There are no hands raised.
There are no hands raised. Okay, well, I think this gives us enough direction to start with some special meeting and agenda items, which we've already reiterated. And I want to thank all of the board members who took the time to do this annual survey. It does become a public document and as along with our comments, and it certainly serves as a way to direct our attention to new learning and continue what is working. So with that, I will adjourn to closed session at 2:34, where we will be discussing discipline, dismissal, release, appointment. That's 4.1, 4.2, conference with labor negotiators, CSEA, 4.3, conference with labor negotiators, YFA, 4.4, conference with labor negotiators, leadership team, 4.5, conference with labor negotiators, unrepresented employees, Columbia College interim president. And finally, 4.6, cabinet contract renewals, public employee evaluation of our chancellor. And with that, we'll go into closed session.